But you idiots want to say that he loves everybody. Call me Yasharallah.
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 You know what I'm saying? That's power, bro. Power. I feel powerful. Let me do it one more time. Call me Yasharallah.
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 Because we want our nation to rise. We want Israel to finally stand up. We want everybody to know that the Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, woman, and child is the greatest creation under the sun. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So we live right here at the Cinco de Mayo event in San Bernardino, California. For y'all that are familiar with this type of event, you know what I'm saying? You got these so-called Mexicans and these so-called blacks out here celebrating the day, a worldly day. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be celebrating, you know, the high holy days of the Bible. So before we start doing that, so we're gonna let the so-called Mexican man know who he is according to the Bible, which is the tribe of Issachar. You got that from me? Go ahead, read.
The book of Genesis, chapter 30, verse 17.
Read 15, huh?
15. And she said unto her, it is a small matter that thou shalt take as my husband.
Verse 17.
And God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob the 5th son.
So she bore Jacob a 5th son. The 5th son that she had given him, what was his name? Go ahead.
And Leah said, God had given me my hire.
So she had given him his hire. For all y'all that know, for you know Hebrew, Issachar, Issachar in the paleo means he is hired. The hardest working man, the hardest man, woman, and child that is in this wicked kingdom, America, or around the world is a so-called Mexican. So we're gonna keep establishing that. Go ahead.
Because I have given my maiden to my husband.
So because Leah had gave her maid to her husband Jacob to be a wife, Jacob was born a son. Jacob was born a son through Leah called Issachar. You know what I'm saying? And that's also a cut to you anti-polygyny camps and you women that only want one husband. Go ahead.
And she called his name Issachar.
She called him Issachar. He is hired. Is that all right? Give me that Genesis 49. Go ahead.
This is the book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 1.
Go ahead.
And Jacob called unto his sons and said.
So Jacob called unto his sons, and this is what he said. Go ahead.
Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days.
So he's speaking prophecy. He's telling them what's going on in these very last days. What's going to happen in the latter times, which any Christian, Mormon, theologist, whatever the case may be, they'll agree we're living in the last days. So for all you 12 tribe chart deniers, how you gonna explain this? Gather yourselves together. I find it funny that the so-called Mexican man gets targeted by the police, just like the so-called Black and Native American, but he want to imitate him with his damn police siren. Go ahead, bring it again.
Gather yourselves together, and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father.
So hearken unto Israel your father. So we were to jump down to 14. You're supposed to hearken unto our father Jacob. He's going to tell us what's going on, what we're about to do, what's about to happen, and what's going on in these latter times. And he's going to explain the tribe of Issachar, the so-called Mexican man. Go ahead.
Jumping down to verse 14. Issachar is a strong ass.
So Issachar is a strong ass. If you've ever been to TJ or any form of Mexican history, you should know that what's the famous animal is the donkey. They even call each other way.
The burrito. If you know the history about the burrito, it comes from a burro when it was stacked up on the sides. Who all eats burritos?
So you see the so-called Mexican man has been tied himself to the tribe of Issachar from the beginning. There's page 84 of the origins of the American Indian. It says that they identified their special spiritual forefather as Issachar. You know what I'm saying? So we're just gonna keep bringing it out because we gotta let these people know who they are. Go ahead. 14.
Crouching down between two burdens.
And the two burdens is America and South America, the United States and South America through the drug trade. Because those two burdens, if you notice, it causes a lot of pain and suffering to the people of the land of Issachar. You know what I'm saying? You got people dying over drug trade. You got these cartels that are actually, you know, going and decapitating people. You got people getting killed over all these things at the border, just at the border. Not even through all of Mexico. We're not even talking about all of Mexico. All of Mexico is the same thing.
And he saw that rest was good.
And he saw that rest was good. Rest being the siesta. If you know any Issacharites, I know a couple brothers from that come up here from San Diego, they'll tell you, one of the brothers, Izan, the powerful soldier, he said him and his grandfather and the rest of the Issacharites let him take naps at lunch. This brother, he said they get done work early so his grandpa can go home and go to sleep. You know what I'm saying? So they know that rest is good. Is that all right? Keep going.
And the land that it was pleasant.
And the land was pleasant. If you ever go visit Mexico, the land of Issachar is a very bountiful and beautiful place. You know what I'm saying? You got such places like Cancun. What's the other one, bro? Acapulco is another one. Rosarito, which ain't that nice, but it's that nice. You know what I'm saying? Cabo San Lucas, that's Mexico, right? You know what I'm saying? You got plenty of places throughout Mexico that are beautiful. So they know that the land is pleasant. Go ahead.
And bowed his shoulder to bear and became a servant unto tribute.
So that right there shows you that they're the hardest way. They were gonna be the hardest working people. The tribe of Issachar being the hardest working people on planet Earth, bar none. You know what I'm saying? Like I've said in many other breakdowns, we say, you know what I'm saying, you work like either you work like a Hebrew slave or you work like a Mexican. Those are two very popular sayings. You know what I'm saying? And nobody can dispute that. When you go work at a warehouse or a construction site, the hardest working people are the so-called Mexicans.
That's right.
I don't work that hard. And the white man is lazy as hell. He sit up in his office. You know what I'm saying? He'll drive around his golf cart checking everything that's going on. You got just it on that? Deuteronomy 33, starting verse 18.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 18. And Zebulun, he said, rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going.
So when he said rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, keep going.
And Issachar, in thy tent.
And Issachar in thy tents. So what it's talking about is not only the modern state, but when you look at a modern map of the Western Hemisphere, you see the so-called so-called Mexican man living in you know what I'm saying, the so-called Mexican man and the so-called Central American living in unity. What you got right now, La Caravana, going from Central America through Mexico until they got to the border, I believe, today. Now, they've been at the border, but they're at the border right now sitting on the fence. You know what I'm saying? There's other parts where news reports where they're cutting holes in the fences for the border of Mexico and Guatemala, and they're feeding the so-called Central American, the tribe of Zebulun. They're feeding them, they're clothing them, they're housing them in tents. You know what I'm saying? So we literally live in their tents. You know what I'm saying? You got so-called Central American brothers with Issacharite wives. They're living. You got so-called Central Americans and so-called Mexicans, and the Mexican is usually the one with the house who goes and lives in there. The Central American. My brother right here, your wife from Central America, ain't she? She's a so-called Zebulonite. You know, she's a Zebulonite. You know what I'm saying? She dwells in Issachar's tents. You know what I'm saying? These are things that. Go ahead.
And her aunts, they're married to Issachar.
And her aunts are married to so-called Mexicans. Shalom, brother, shalom. You know what I'm saying? So we're further proving that the so-called Mexican man is an Israelite from the tribe of Issachar.
That's right.
Also that the so-called Central American is from the tribe of Zebulun.
That's right.
Just watching these things unfold, you know what I'm saying? You can't tell me that the Bible's fake, because it's telling you that the so-called Central American is always going to live with the so-called Mexican. You know what I'm saying? We know this. From personal experience, brothers know that. What you got? Is that it? Keep going.
They shall call the people unto the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness.
If you know what I'm saying? When we came here, brothers know that the Aztecs and the Mayans were sacrificing together unto the Most High until they went off and started praising other gods. You know what I'm saying? So you got that precept. You can get that precept. Give me that precept in Hosea 8. I want to say 14. You got that in a second. First Chronicles. Go ahead.
This is the book of First Chronicles, chapter 12, verse 32.
Go ahead.
And of the children of Issachar,
and of the so-called Mexican man. Go ahead.
which were men that had understanding of the times.
They had understanding of the times. You got your sword on you? Get Genesis 1. Go ahead.
To know what Israel ought to do.
So what they do is they will look at the stars and to let Israel know what move they should make next in war. And what do you know the signs of the times are? Because the so-called Aztec, what are they famous for? They're famous for the Aztec calendar, which was led by the stars. You know what I'm saying? We knew exactly how the brothers from the tribe of Issachar, the so-called Aztec or Mexica, knew how to look at these stars and tell you what's the next move, what they ought to do. How do you think we got here? You got that from the gosh? It's 14. It's 14. I think it's 4 or 14. Let me see. 14.
It's Genesis chapter 1, verse 14.
Go ahead.
And God said, let there be light.
And the power said, let there be light. Go ahead.
In the firmament of heaven,
And in the firmament of heaven, he said, so in the sky, he said, let there be lights. Go ahead.
to divide the day from the night,
So it divided the day from the night. Go ahead.
and let them be for signs.
Let them be for what?
For signs,
He said, let them be for signs. Go ahead.
and for seasons,
And for seasons. Go ahead.
and for days and years.
So what they were reading according to the book of Genesis and according to the book of First Chronicles is the stars. So they could let you know who is famous for that. If you ask around, look around, it is always the so-called Mexican man that of descendants of Aztec descent. You know what I'm saying? My wife could do these things. This brother could do these things. You just gotta pay attention to what the Spirit is telling you. You got it on that?
God.
Go, what you got? Jose, you done with that? Okay, read that Jose 8.
The book of Hosea, chapter 8, verse 14, verse 13. They sacrifice flesh for the sacrifices of mine offering
So they sacrifice flesh for the sacrifice of their offerings. Go ahead.
and eat it. But the Lord accept them not.
Because they were doing this in unrighteousness when they were in the get that sound out. When they were doing these unrighteous things, sacrificing their own brothers, sacrificing so-called Mayans and other Aztecs unto their strange gods. You know what I'm saying? So the Most High God was not accepting that. That's when the tribe of Issachar and the tribe of Zebulon primarily started going off, which is the topic of conversation. Who got an apology?
I got one right here.
Yeah, you got one? Okay, you get 1 Kings 10:22.
I got
You
you.
get 2nd Ezra. No, because I'm
Issachar.
here, Issachar. Matter of fact, you hold what you got. Just hold what you got in 1 Kings. You get 2nd Ezra 13. Because a lot of y'all gonna say, well, a lot of you are so-called Israelites that are all Negro will say, well, how did we get here? Because it doesn't say boats. It doesn't say boats. 13, 40 to 48. Go ahead.
40?
Yeah.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40.
Go ahead.
Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners
So these are the 10 tribes that were carried away prisoner. Go ahead.
out of their own land
Out of their own land. Go ahead.
in the time of Hosea the king.
So in the time of Hosea the king of the north, we were taken out of our own land and we were taken captive. Where were we taken captive? Go ahead.
Whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive.
So Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, had led the northern kingdom out into captivity out of our own land. So he led us out of the land of Israel, in the northern tribes. Go ahead.
And he carried them away, carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
So he carried them over the waters and into the other land. Now a lot of y'all might say, well, where does that say boats? I mean, how else are you gonna get around water? You gonna walk through a lake? You gonna walk through a river? Come on, man. Go ahead.
But they took this counsel among them.
So they took the council amongst themselves. So they had a big old meeting. Brothers that have been locked up know about the juntas, the meetings that your card has. So the northern kingdom, the so-called Hispanic and Native Indian, had the same type of mentality even back then. So we had a big old meeting. And what was this meeting about? Go ahead.
That they would leave the multitude of the heathen
So they leave the multitude of all these people around them that were not of Israel. Go ahead.
and go forth into a further country
So they could go forth somewhere else into a further country. Go ahead.
where never mankind dwelt.
Where never no mankind had dwelt. No man had ever lived in the Americas. That's why they call it the fourth part of the world. Go ahead.
That they might keep their statutes,
So we may keep their statues. Go ahead.
which they never kept in their own land.
So since we didn't keep our law, statutes, and commandments in our own land, we were going to go do this in this new land. Go ahead.
And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river.
So they entered through the Euphrates through a narrow passage through the river. Go ahead.
For the Most High then showed signs for them.
So the Most High showed signs unto them. He had showed them signs. And what were these signs that the tribe of Issachar was reading? The stars. Go ahead.
And held still the flood till they were passed over.
So he held still the flood. He held still the waters till they passed over. If y'all know anything about history, y'all know that the roughest waters are around the Horn of Africa. That's why it took them a long time to get here from West Africa when they brought the Southern Kingdom. Go ahead.
For through that country there was a great way to go,
So through this country, it was a long journey. Go ahead.
namely of a year and a half.
Namely of a year and a half. Namely a year and a half getting there, just getting there. Go ahead.
And
And that same region is called Azeroth.
And the Bible calls the Americas arsenal, a place where never man dwelt. You got that, Issachar? Bring that out. Give me out.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 10, verse 22.
Because we're going to establish where the boats were. Because you got to understand, King Solomon was sending Hamites, Zidonians here already. Go ahead.
For the king had at sea a navy of Tarshish.
So he had a navy of Tarshish. Tarshish are Hamites. What does a navy do? They sail. For all you simple all-Negro Israelites that say, well, there's only black people with it. What is a navy doing back then in King Solomon? Go ahead.
With the navy of Hiram.
Go ahead.
Once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish.
Once in 3 years came this navy back. Once in 3 years. What is half of 3 years? A year and a half. So you mean to tell me there's no boats, but 1 Kings is telling you what 2nd Ezra is saying? See, that's how I know y'all simple. Y'all don't want to admit that the so-called Hispanic and Native American is your brother. Go ahead.
Bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks.
Now the ape that is here has been found in the Americas is an extinct species called Paleoithoricus. I can't pronounce it, but it's a type of gray ape that was found in the Americas. The peacocks, obviously, if you dig deep into the Strong's, they tell you that they don't know what type of bird it was, so they just put that word there. But y'all don't want to admit that we're your brothers. Is that all right? Okay. Good morning.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, verse 3.
Go ahead.
Thou shalt eat no leavened bread.
You shall not eat any leavened bread. Go ahead.
With it 7 days.
Back from the top, huh?
Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it.
So you won't eat no leavened bread with this. You won't have no leavened bread. Go ahead.
7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread.
Come on.
Therewith even the bread of affliction.
So this will be the bread of affliction. Now, some speculate or even will say that tortillas are unleavened bread. If you know anything, you know that tortillas are unleavened bread. This is a custom that only belongs to the Israelites.
That's right.
Why nobody else in the world eat tortillas like that? I don't see no dirty Spaniards eating tortillas. No white people. Only black Hispanic people love to eat tortillas.
That's right.
Matter of fact, brother, give me a testimony on what is it that they do in Mexico? That they do for 7 days they don't eat certain type of food or something? You know what I'm talking about? You was talking to your grandma? Or your aunt or something like that? You said that they keep a certain feast day in Mexico where they don't eat tortillas or something like that?
No, basically it was like a certain festival in Oaxaca where they cooked what's called tlayuda, which is another form of tortilla. But in that specific week, they're eating it.
So for that specific week, they're eating. So they're keeping the Passover without keeping the Passover. Who knows that? I think it's 13. Zeal without knowledge, 10 and 3. I think it's Romans 10 and 3. You know what I'm saying? So the so-called Mexican man is in Mexico keeping the Passover without keeping the Passover. You know what I'm saying? Because tortillas being unleavened bread, how would anybody know that unless it's in your spirit, unless you know what to do? Because the Bible's telling you what to do, and when the Bible tells you what to do, you do it through your spirit without knowing. You got that for me? That's 13. Is it 10 and 3? 10 and 3. Read it.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 3.
Go ahead.
For they being ignorant of God's righteousness.
So them being ignorant of God's righteousness, the so-called Mexican man being ignorant of God's righteousness, go ahead.
And going about to establish their own righteousness.
Going about to establish their own righteousness. Go ahead.
Have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God.
They haven't submitted themselves to the righteousness of the Most High. Not eating pork, keeping the high holy days, keeping your fringes, no mixed fabrics, growing your beard, growing your hair. You know what I'm saying? Some brothers according to the scripture.
That's right.
You good, man? You know what I'm saying? Not no pale eating my dog. And the reason they did this is so that you would worship the white man.
That's right.
But
not according to knowledge.
But not according to knowledge. So what was that feast called? But when they keep that in Oaxaca, they're keeping the zeal of God, but without knowledge, because they're keeping the Passover, but they don't know that that's what they're doing.
Verse 3, for they being ignorant of God's righteousness.
We being ignorant of the Most High Power's righteousness, go ahead.
And going about to establish their own righteousness.
We went about establishing our own righteousness, even going as far as joining these religions. Go ahead.
Have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God.
They have not submitted themselves to the righteousness of the Most High. They submitted to their own righteousness. They want to live life how they want to live life. What did you got?
I got 28, 6, 28. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68.
Go ahead.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
If y'all know the Bible, y'all know that the Most High Power walked the Israelites out of Egypt. So it's obviously not talking about Mitzrayim. You know what I'm saying? It's talking about a place of bondage. It's talking about America. How do you think the so-called black man got here? We got sent back to Europe on slave ships as well. You don't think that they were just sending them ships back empty, do you? Keep going, God.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
So this will be the worst one of all the captivities will be. That's why I call it God given Jeremiah 15:33. What?
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
There shall be sold to our enemies. You good, man? Go ahead, you talk. There you shall be sold to your enemies. Who were we sold to? The European. Over here was the so-called white man that's American. Back in Europe, it was the Englishman, the Spaniard, the Frenchman. We were being sold to these people. Our enemy. Go ahead.
For bondmen and bondwomen.
As slaves. It said we would be taken as slaves. Go ahead.
And no man shall buy you.
And the Hebrew word there is redeemed. So no man, it's kahal. No man shall redeem you. So I mean, everybody's tried to redeem us. You got Cesar Chavez, you got the Brown Berets, you got the Black Panthers, you got Martin Luther King, you got Marcus Garvey, you got all this endless amount of people that have tried to free the Black, Hispanic, and Native American. Yet here we are. Here we are. According to the Bible, the only person that can free us out of this captivity is Hamashiach Yahushua.
That's
who
right.
The world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ.
That's right.
33. Go ahead.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 33.
Read.
Thus says the Lord of hosts.
Keep going.
The children of Israel
So the so-called Hispanic and Native American, go ahead.
and the children of Judah
And the so-called Negro, West Indian, and Haitian, go ahead.
were oppressed together.
We were oppressed together. For all you all Negro, tell me who's being oppressed together in Africa? Because last time I checked, it's the most bountiful place of resources, ain't that correct? Ain't y'all living rich? But you're supposed to be oppressed. When you come to the Americas, the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American is in oppression. The only time we got anything is when the white man says we can have something, like this punk-ass holiday, Cinco de Mayo. Instead of keeping the Passover, keeping the first fruits, keeping the tabernacles. Y'all don't worry about that. Y'all rather get a day that Massa give you.
That's right.
You rather come out and party with the white man and drink his Coronas instead of drinking the wine and the strong drink on Passover.
Right.
Instead of eating the lamb and the unleavened bread on Passover. Gathering together with the nation when we're supposed to on tabernacles or first fruits. Y'all don't think about that. Go ahead.
And all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go.
And all they held us captives held us fast and refused to let us go. If we can't leave America. So-called Mexican American man, can you leave America? You can't. So-called black man, what happens if you try to leave America? They make it damn near impossible for you to get up out of here. They make it so you have to jump through hoops. You gotta get certain documentation just so you can leave, quote unquote, the land of the free. But we ain't captives. The Bible says we're captives, and they're not gonna let us go till Yahushua returns. And they're gonna learn when the angry black man cracks the sky and destroys this place.
That's right. That's right. The book of Leviticus, chapter 17, verse 15. And every soul that eateth that which died of itself, or that which was torn with beasts, whether it be one of your own country or a stranger, he shall both wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until even. Then shall he be clean. But if he wash them not, nor bathe his flesh, then shall he bear his iniquity.
So every time somebody dies, you gotta wash yourself. The Aztecs had a purification ritual that they went through. Am I correct, soldier? Bring it out. We're gonna bring some facts, because y'all said, well, them crazy meaners, they gotta be tripping. You know what I'm saying? Them spicks is tripping. They don't know what they talking about. They just coming out that Bible, that mythical book, where the Bible just described the whole bunch of Mexicans. What you mean to tell me it's mythical? So what we gonna do is we're gonna give you some history behind what's going on. You got to bring that up.
The book of the Lost Tribes and Promised Lands.
Bring it out.
This is page 187. Duran came to first see elements of a Judaic character in the old Aztec religion. At first, this tendency appears only as a fervent search for Jewish analogies provoked by Aztec customs, such as the eating of the only unleavened bread on certain days of the year.
Who else needs salvation besides us? What does the white man need saving from? We own several businesses here. What does the Asian man need salvation from? He got a restaurant in our neighborhood. The Arab, what does he need salvation? He got a business in our neighborhood. Everybody got success in our neighborhood. What they do is they slap our face on it to make it look like, oh, you see, the Mexicans got their own business. Oh, you see, well, black people got some businesses. When in reality, it's owned by a heathen. They just use our face to